There's a way you take me up from down and place my feet on solid ground.
Hey girl, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cynthia, and on this channel I teach women how to become her. I am going to be debunking some myths that people have about social work. The number one myth that people have about social work is that social workers don't get paid much. Now, I understand this myth because before I pursued social work as a career, I heard the same thing as well. But we want to stick to the facts, y'all. Let's actually do our research. So according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the highest 10% earned more than $94,910. I'm not sure what year this was. I'm pretty sure it was recent, but this is the highest 10%, and this is the amount that they earned more than. And so I don't want you to feel like this is not the field for you because you're not going to make decent money. You're going to make decent money in the field of social work, guys. I don't know if you're expecting the salary of a doctor, I'm not sure, but you will definitely make a reasonable amount of money in the field of social work. Myth number 2, social workers take your kids away. This is something I've heard I hear a lot as well too. Social workers, one of their goals actually is family preservation, and what that means is they actually want to preserve the family makeup and the unit of the family home. Their last desire or their last point of action is to take your child away. But when they see that the child is endangered, all right, meaning the child is in an environment that is not safe or conducive to his or her growth or well-being, that child will be removed. And oftentimes that child will be removed. They often they look for kinship care, right? So can they find a family member, a trusted family member that this child can temporarily be with until they are put back into their actual birth home, their nuclear family. And so that's a myth, guys. I mean, social workers, their last plan of action, and I'm sorry if this has not been your experience. I read a comment from one of you saying how they were in a sort of a upheaval with social workers or caseworkers who took their children away. I don't know the ins and outs of that situation, and so I'm sorry that had to happen. But from my experience and from my knowledge, social workers aim to preserve the family unit. They are not after your children. There are times when I've seen cases made to CPS, the child welfare, and they come and they interview the child and they go to their home to check to see if it's a safe environment. And oftentimes they keep them in the home, guys. So, social workers are not after taking your kids away only if it's a very, very, very serious situation in which they know that this child, their life is literally endangered. Myth number 3. I found this as I was looking things up online, and I didn't know that this was a myth, but I'll just share it. Maybe you have the same sentiments as well. You need to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist to provide therapy. Now, I guess I kind of see why people have this understanding, but it's not entirely true, guys. Social workers are not psychologists, neither are they psychiatrists. I actually have a video where I talk about the pros and cons of being a school social worker, where I talked a little bit about how the roles of a psychologist and a social worker are not intertwined, but there's some places in which they overlap. You don't necessarily, and one of the ways in which psychologists and social workers overlap is that they both provide counseling or therapy of some sort, right? And so that's a myth. Social workers provide therapy. We are licensed mental health therapists. We have to have our CEUs renewed every 2 years, our continuing education units every 2 years. We provide therapy, all right? When you get your independent license, you can actually open up your own practice and provide therapy for people. So that's definitely a myth. Myth number 4, that we are just case managers. Not true. Totally not true. I don't know why. Even me, like before I came into the field of social work, whenever I thought of a social worker, I just thought of someone who had a briefcase of papers stuffed in it, sort of, you know, have this rugged look, just busy, running late for meetings, and just overwhelmed all the time, burnt out. That was the image in my head about social work before I got into the field. I just thought these were people that were just constantly overwhelmed by the system. You know, we're just handling cases, linking people to services, and we're just overwhelmed and burnt out all the time. But that's not true. You all have seen, I hope you've seen by now, videos of days in my life as a social worker, and I'm not no case manager, okay? I work at a school. I am a school-based clinician, and I provide therapy for children there. Myth number 5, that we all work for child welfare. Totally not true. There are social workers in every sector of work, all right? Most of you, those of you who work in the corporate world, you know that your company offers what they call an EAP, an employee assistance program. And in those programs, they have social workers employed. They may not actually call themselves social workers as their role. Their paper trail, and go back to what their degree was in, you're gonna see that they probably got a master's in social work or even a BSW in some cases. And so what these people that work for the EAP do is that they provide counseling. So as an employee, you have the ability to call this line and talk to counselors. Oftentimes they are people with a social work background. You have social workers in the government, you have social workers in the military, guys, social workers in the hospital. So again, social workers are not just case workers. They're not just child welfare workers. We do so much more than that. And then the last myth that I will say is that social service employees and case workers are social workers. Guys, these are different. Not gonna go too much into it in this video. Someone actually asked me the difference between a social service worker and a social worker, and I found that, so I will leave that down below for you guys. I hope that this information was helpful for you. Let me know if you had the same myths about social work, or if you have other myths as well.
I know.